Welcome to Rearranging Change, how you market to an ever-changing world. I'm your host, Steve McChesney. Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 7 of Rearranging Change. And today I want to talk a little bit about communication styles. You know, there's actually 4 communication styles that people have, and I'm going to go through them. I actually learned this from a book from a lady named Susan Dellinger. Her book was called Psychogeometrics. And she actually divided these 4 communication styles into symbols. She had a square, a triangle, a circle, and a squiggly line. And each of these represented a different communication style. So let me go through the 4 of them and see if you can see yourself in any of these. Now, the first one is the square. Now, I guess the best way to do this is to pretend that I have these 4 people, the square, the triangle, the circle, and the squiggly line, and I line them up against one wall. And the whole idea is I'm going to tell them the same instruction. I'm going to tell them they need to walk from that wall across the room to the other wall. Pretty simple instruction, but let's see how they take that because of their communication style. The square, walk from this wall to that wall. The square is going to say, okay, why? What am I going to do when I get there? You want me to take big steps, small steps? Do I go fast? Do I go slow? You see, a square is the communication style that needs all the details before they can take action. They want to know more. They want to know everything they need to know before they even make a move. I'm sure that a lot of you out there know people just like that. The triangle, on the other hand, when I say walk from this wall to that wall, the triangle says, okay, and goes to the wall. Now they say, okay, what's next? Come on, I'm here. What are we going to do now? I don't need the details. I need the bullet points. The triangle is the person who needs the Cliff's Notes in college, not the details. I'm sure you all know people like that as well. In fact, in a business situation, if you want to talk to a triangle, they're going to say, okay, come on, let's walk and talk. They're not going to stop. They need to keep on moving. They're very, very busy. Then we have the circle. I tell the circle to walk from this wall to that wall, and the circle says, okay, come on, everybody, let's go to the wall. You see, the circle wants to be with other people. The circle is the person who is waiting at the water cooler when you walk by so that they can find out how your day was. In fact, if they walk up to you and they say, how was your day? And you don't give them any information, they're going to say, okay, well, hope you have a great day. And then they're going to go to the person next to you and say, how was your weekend? You see, they like to be around people. They like to talk, and they're very, very people friendly. The squiggly line. You tell them to walk from one wall to the next wall, and they'll say, okay, and poof, they disappear. And then at some point later, poof, they appear at the other wall. You see, a squiggly line will do what you tell them, but they're going to do it their way. And they've done about 6 other things along the way, so they're multitaskers. Now, those are the 4 different communication styles, and I'm sure that you found yourself in one of them. If you don't find yourself in one of them, you're probably a square because you need more details. Anyway, the reality of it is, according to Susan's book, we're all 2 of those styles. We have one that's prominent. We have one that's secondary. Now, personally, I am a triangle squiggly line. I like the Cliff's Notes. I like the bullet points. I don't need all the details. Just give me the basics of it. And then I'm like a squiggly line because poof, I'll disappear. I'll do 6 things along the way, but then I'll finally accomplish what was asked of me. Now, that's my communication style. My wife, on the other hand, is different. She's a circle square. She loves being around people. She loves to talk. She loves the details. In fact, if I come home and I say to her, honey, how was your day? She gives me the details in real time. Now, I'm a triangle. I don't want details. In my mind, I'm thinking, please get to the point. But you see, it's not a bad thing because we've been married now for 23 years. So it works for us. There is no good or bad on these communication styles. There just is. But we need to know what they are because that's how we affect our customers. That's how we talk to our customers. Once we know if they like details or if they just like bullet points, we need to know that in order to effectively communicate with them. I'm going to tell you the best way to communicate with all people because as a marketer, you've got an email to communicate with them. You've got a sales letter to communicate with them. You've got a video sales letter online. But if you will make sure that all of the content that you create is directed and designed to go to the square and the triangle, you will achieve everybody. Now, how do you do that? The square needs details. The triangle wants bullet points. Well, there's your clue right there. If you're doing a writing piece, make sure that you write in bullets. But underneath each bullet, put a paragraph of the details of that bullet. But here's the trick. You want to be able to have your reader be able to read just the bullet points and get the whole story. The square is going to want to read the details. That's why you have the paragraphs underneath each bullet. Now, don't make the mistake of going bullet, 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 paragraph, paragraph, paragraph. That won't work. It's got to be bullet, paragraph, bullet, paragraph, bullet, paragraph. That's how you reach both the square and the triangle. But again, the key is to make sure that the bullet points are telling the same story. Now, I go deep into that in my book. There you go. There was a quick little commercial for my book. But I go into details. You can see what I'm talking about. But that is the thing we were talking about today, the communication styles. Understand there's 4 of them. There are 2 you have to focus on is going to be the squares and the triangles. Now, think about this for a second. Sometimes our communication style leads us into the jobs we end up getting in life. I'll give you an example of that. If you're a triangle, chances are you're a leader of an organization. You're also going to be a coach, a police officer. It's not gray, it's black or white. I mean, it's those kind of things that lead you to that kind of an occupation for a triangle. A square, on the other hand, is going to be an accountant or a banker or a lawyer. Detail-oriented jobs is where they're kind of led to. A circle, school teacher, healthcare. So if you know what occupation that your idea customer is in, you'll kind of know what kind of communication style that they're in, and that's how you can market to them more effectively that way. So there you go. There's a brief outing on the 4 different communication styles. If you have any questions, any thoughts, I want you to email me at steve@rearrangingchange.com, and let's talk about them. We'll be right back with Ron Seggi. My friends, I'd like to offer you a free copy of my international best-selling book, Rearranging Change, How You Market to an Ever-Changing World. Just simply go to rearrangingchange.com. That's rearrangingchange.com. Rearrangingchange.com. I will pay for your book. You simply pay for the shipping and handling. Once again, a little gift from me. Rearranging Change, How You Market to an Ever-Changing World. Go to my website, rearrangingchange.com, and get your free copy today. And welcome back. Again, we are joined by my pal, Ron Seggi. Hello, Ron.
Hey, Steve. Good to be back.
Thank you, sir. Who you got with us for us this week?
I'm excited about this, and I think our listeners and viewers will be too, Steve. The man who really had a very big set of history set on his shoulders a few years back with the reputation of The Tonight Show, starting with Steve Allen, a good friend of mine for many, many years. Actually, the very first host of The Tonight Show was Jerry Lester, and then it was Steve, and then it was Jack Barr, then it was the King, Johnny Carson, then, of course, a very, very fruitful run with Jay Leno, and then we get to Jimmy Fallon, who I had told many times when I talked to him that I always pictured a young Johnny Carson coming out. You know, he just reminded me of that, and the late Ed McMahon and I talked about that several times. He just looked like a young Johnny. But he took over The Tonight Show, put a new twist to it, moved it back to the East Coast, and we're talking to him today about some of the things that have happened in a short period of time that really pole vaulted him into a very unique position, carrying on the tradition of The Tonight Show.
Well, you know, a lot of people may not realize this, Ron. For those of you listening, Ron was partners with Ed McMahon, and Ron has an affinity for The Tonight Show, especially the Johnny Carson years. I happen to know this personally, that Ron binge watches Tonight Show episodes at night. So when you became friends with Jimmy Fallon, it's just like full circle for you. I think that's a great thing.
Well, yeah, because I was also, and still are, friends with Jay Leno. I mean, he's been on my show several times. I've been in his company several times. And I've even went out to visit his garage out there in Burbank next to the airport and be his guest for the day. So it does feel like a kind of a full circle thing. In fact, I told Jimmy Fallon some of the things that had taken place prior to his being on the show with Jay Leno and Johnny. that he, I think, have kind of used in the past couple of years that he's been on. Well, longer than that now.
Well, good. That's good. Well, great. Let's take a listen.
Okay. We're back live all across the USA and around the world. You are listening to Ron Seggi today. We got a big show in store for you this week. We hope that you stick around for it. And our first guest this first hour has been a friend of mine for a lot of years, and I love when he's on the show. I mean, he's a terrific guest, and he has really taken over the reins and carried it into a new generation with The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. But before we bring Jimmy on, I got to do some business there. Hope you excuse me here. Just hold on a moment. Thank you, NBC, for letting Jimmy come out and play on our show today. Ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Fallon joins us. Hi, Jimmy.
Hey, Ron, I love that you're doing the thank you notes. This is good. It's your new thing.
It's my new thing. I think
you
it's
have to do it. Yeah.
Don't tell anybody. Next thing I'm going to do is headlines.
I won't tell Jay.
No, don't tell anybody. Hey, it's good to have you back here, Jimmy.
Thank you for having me back on. I love doing your show.
Well, I love having you on this show. And Jimmy once told me, he said, when you come to New York, be on the show. Well, that's when Robert De Niro, Mick Jagger, Paul McCartney, Neil Young. I said, could bring Ron up here. What's he going to do? I think I'll do him a little soft shoe like the Seven Flags guy.
Ron, we'll always welcome you on the show. I'm telling you. Yeah. We're going to have to do this one day.
When you tell your producers that, they're going to say, are you out of your mind, Jim?
and then I'll say, have you seen last night's show?
Did you see
Of course, I am out of my mind.
I heard my wife telling you that my pal, Ed McMahon, always said that when you walked out on stage, it reminded him of a young Johnny Carson. And I'm going to go a step further. Steve Allen was a buddy of mine. And the part that I liked about Steve Allen, and I'm finding out that this is what really is the key, I think, to all the stuff that you do so successfully. Steve was not only a good host, he was also a good audience. When I watch you, I break up watching you enjoy the guest.
I appreciate that. I love Steve Allen, but I have a good time, and I am a good audience because I'm an easy laugh.
You're a good audience, and Steve was an easy laugh, too.
Yeah, I just love laughing. I love having a good time, so if you come on our show and you do something funny or tell a funny joke.
Well, that's what I like about it. I mean, you just die laughing. A lot of guys, and Rickles is like this. When you are behind stage at the Rickles, he's very kind, very polite. He used to always be very nice to my mom and stuff like that. But when I interviewed Don Rickles, and I said to him, I said, Don, a very clever name for your book because it's called Rickles. He said, he didn't get it. He said, yeah. And I'm standing there holding the microphone thinking to myself, now what the heck do I do? But you would bust up with something like that.
Oh, yeah. I would because I totally understand. Yeah, how did you come up with the title, Don? Yeah, Rickles. You must have thought a lot about that. I mean, we've done so much stuff now, Ron, since we talked in this last year. We had a book out called Thank You Notes.
I got it right in front of me.
And it was a collection of all of our thank you notes that we did every Friday. We do thank you notes on the show. You look for something like that, like a headlines or top 10 list. Every talk show looks for something like that. So we do these things called thank you notes where I write these sarcastic thank you notes. Well, I don't write them. My writers write them. I write them now and then, but I read them. And it's just very sarcastic things. So like, for example, I would say, thank you, microbreweries, for making my alcoholism seem like a neat hobby. And we'd have James from the Roots play piano behind it. So very nice, like almost Hallmarky type of piano.
Right.
Thank you. Yes, I agree to the terms and conditions box that I have to click in order to install software. You know full well I didn't actually read the terms and conditions. For all I know, I just agreed to become the new face of herpes, but I'm still going to click you.
Thank you, Cotton Candy, for making my grandmother's hair look so delicious.
Thank you, slow-walking family walking in front of me on the sidewalk. No, please, take your time. And definitely spread out, too, so you create a barricade of idiots.
I remember when you did that on the air.
It's like those are the types of things. So they just it's one of those things that just kind of took off. We love the thank you notes because we were just going to do it as a one-off. And then we just started doing it every Friday, and it became a hit. And then we put it together as a book, and we released it, and became a New York Times bestseller.
Even after you read it once, it's like you hear the joke and you know the punchline. It's still funny. Thank you, shampoo, or as I like to call you when you run out of soap.
Everyone does it. I think it's a good book if you want, even for...
Oh, it's great for
you. Have the family over and just pass the book around.
It's hilarious. It's called Thank You Notes by Jimmy Fallon with the writers of The Late Night. Now, you've got a show unbelievable.
I mean, do you believe this, Ron? I've been on... Seems like yesterday we just started.
I know that. And 3 Emmy nominations, Thank You Notes, Ben & Jerry's ice cream. You got your late night snack.
All right, so here's the deal. We have our own flavor ice cream. It's wherever you are. Guys, wherever they have a Ben & Jerry's place, you can go and get it. It's called Late Night Snack. I kind of want you to try and just guess what's in it.
Well, let me guess, okay? Can I just guess?
Yes.
Would it be like a vanilla beach ice cream with salty caramel swirl and fudge-covered potato chip clusters?
Now, you're really good at guessing.
That just came right off the top of my head.
It's unbelievable how good you are at guessing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's a fun thing because you can actually have a party and have people try to guess because no one would ever guess that there's potato chips in this ice cream.
I got to try that. I love.
They take this like the Hawaiian kettle chips.
Yeah.
They crush them up, then put them in the clusters. They cover them in fudge so that they don't get non-crispy, and then they put them in this vanilla bean ice cream with a salty caramel swirl.
Wow. But I think it's important to note that the profits go to the charity Fair Trade Universities.
Yeah. I don't make any money off this thing. This the vanilla bean and the fudge are fair trade, which is like it's basically helping developing countries who can't their farm system, their government doesn't work the way ours is. So like they can't compete with these giant conglomerate farms. They're just local farms that they just need a break. They get to use that money to build schools and hospitals and, et cetera, and the whole economy based off of their crops.
That's a great, great charity. And now this is what I really dig. The first time you came on the show, we were promoting the show. Now under your belt, you hosted Saturday Night Live, did an outstanding job. I mean, how cool was that? That's like going back to your class reunion. You're smarter than all the teachers.
This is a dream come true for me. That was my ultimate thing. But when I first started, my only thing I ever wanted to do was get on Saturday Night Live, and not only that, but they asked me to come back. It's just insane. Like it's really like we've really. Like, I can't tell you how happy I am. When we got nominated for the Emmys, like we're just sitting around here. We're a bunch of mushes over here, to be honest, on our show. I just said to everyone the night, don't worry about it. We know we have the best show. I'm so proud of the show, and if we don't get nominated, I just know that we have the best. We work so hard, and I'm just so proud of everything we do on the show. And then when we got nominated, everyone was like jumping up and down, hugging each other, crying. I walked in. I couldn't, from the elevator to my office, it took me like a half an hour. I was just hugging everybody, was running up and going like, oh my God, congratulations. Oh, okay. It's like so insane.
So 3 Emmy nominations. Thank you notes book. Ben & Jerry's ice cream. You look like Bob Hope when he used to go on the Tonight Show. Pretty soon.
And have all the things to talk about.
Now, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty soon, the Jimmy Fallon Network, Home Shopping Network, will be out. He's got a new beauty line. He's got a new automobile line, Fallon Mobile.
Exactly.
He's got everything going.
My own resort.
His own resort. His pictures will be in all the menswear Kmart.
I think I'm slowing down after this. This is as big as it gets, I think.
Now, you and I have one thing very much in common that you did a couple of weeks ago, and that is both sang with Tony Orlando. Tony's been a longtime friend of mine.
What a great guy.
He's a terrific guy. And when he goes out and performs, he calls me up on stage to sing Crying by Roy Orbison.
Oh, my gosh. Can you hit those notes?
No.
You just cry.
I just cry. I just sit there.
Fantastic.
It's just one big sobbing
so
session.
does the audience after they hear you sing.
After they sing,
fantastic. Everyone's crying.
Everybody's crying. It's an emotional thing, but we like doing.
He came on. He was unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so funny that, Questlove is our drummer, from the Roots.
Oh, yeah, sure. He's been on a show.
And he said to me, he's my Mean Joe Green story.
Yeah.
He's like, this is like where Mean Joe Green throws him the jersey and goes, go get him, kid.
Right.
He's like, he met Tony Orlando when he was 4 years old, Questlove, and he goes, what do you want to do, Amir? And Amir said, he goes, I'd like to be a drummer. He goes, well, you can do that. You should go out there, and I want you to be the best drummer out there. You hear me? And he'll never forget that story. And to this day, he is one of the best drummers in the world, Questlove.
That is Tony.
What a great guy.
Yeah, he's a terrific guy, as you are, too. I want you to know, Jimmy, I really appreciate your friendship. I really do.
You're a good man. I love talking to you all the time, and your wife as well.
Well, I want to congratulate you on the show.
It goes so fast, right?
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Well, now we're ready for you now. Now I'm finally ready for you. After 500 shows.
Now, after 500 shows, you're going to get it right, and you're going to...
Don't tell anybody. Yeah.
They send up. Well, Jimmy,
you're the best, buddy. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks, Jimmy. Jimmy Fallon's been our guest. Check out Thank You Notes, now available. Thanks, Jimmy.
You're the best. Thanks, buddy.
The reigning king of late night these days, the host of The Tonight Show, our friend Jimmy Fallon.
Well, I think, Ron, that Jimmy Fallon is the perfect choice for The Tonight Show for a number of reasons. Number one, he's very authentic. You said to him that he's a good audience, and he really is a good audience. And that's what makes him so authentic and real. And that's what people want.
That's true. And the fellow that I equated him with was Steve Allen. Steve Allen loved a good line. He didn't hog the picture, okay? Some of the other celebrities that used to host that show, they were more concerned about them getting the one-liners. Steve Allen loved a great joke, loved a great line. I mean, and I used to love to pull him on him because he laughed about it. And Ed was actually the same way too. And that's how Jimmy Fallon is. If you say a line, he's going to let you have it.
Right, right. I also like the fact when it gets back to the marketing, the Tonight Show's always had marketing in their back pocket. I mean, you could always go to the Tonight Show online and buy coffee mugs and T-shirts or whatever else that were Tonight Show branded. But Jimmy took it maybe a step further. He's got an ice cream after him at Ben & Jerry's. I mean, that's remarkable.
Well, I joke around with him because of the fact that he's like QVC, he's got all of these products. But if you think back, Johnny Carson was like that too, because he had the Johnny Carson clothing wear, which was very popular. He didn't endorse a lot of things, but that was something that he actively got involved with. And he had a production company that produced The Big Chill, a very successful movie with a great soundtrack, I might add. Also, Amen. There was a lot of shows on television that Carson Productions produced. But Jimmy knows how to market himself. He's a bright young man. There's no doubt about it.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, at Universal Studios, there's a ride that's now Jimmy Fallon inspired for the Tonight Show.
That's exactly right. And he came down here when it opened, and I told him, I said, I've never known anybody that had a ride named after them. You think about it, how many people have Hanna-Barbera, you interview them, but I didn't know them as well, and they were around for a long time. But it's pretty unique when you have a ride named after you. I mean, that's like knowing the Smurfs.
That's exactly right. I don't know if I'm going to tell Jimmy you called him a Smurf, but that's
I didn't call him a Smurf. I just live next door to the Smurfs, and they actually have a very, very good product line, and they're very unique marketers. The problem is they look funny.
Hey, folks, I'm going to remind you that you can always listen to my pal Ron Seggi on his show, which is every Saturday night on the USA Radio Network, but you can also listen to it at ronseggi.com anytime you'd like, because they stream it on the internet. Ron, thanks again.
Well, I just want to mention real quickly that the USA Network now not only has it on Saturday nights, but they repeat it on Sunday evenings. And for those people who are living on the West Coast, they could catch it on Cable Radio Network, which is not only radio stations, but also television stations that carry the audio of the show. So it's got some pretty good coverage. And I thank you for mentioning that. And my family thanks you, and my kids, part of my estate, thank you, and the Smurfs next door, thank you.
Well, listen, you know what? The show is so worth listening to. It's very entertaining. I don't miss it. Our listeners right now at home listening to this podcast should not miss it either. You're going to find something that's always entertaining and always fun. Once again, thank you, Ron. We'll see you next week, huh, my friend?
Thanks, Steve. Look forward to it.
Okay. And thank you again for tuning in to Rearranging Change. If you have any questions, as always, please send me an email, steve@rearrangingchange.com, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on Rearranging Change.
Make sure to visit my website, stevemcchesney.com. Sign up for my newsletter. We'll be talking soon.